Hi, I'm Jan Doyle. I'm here with Cynthia Perdigao, a fabulous photographer from Massachusetts. Cindy, you are absolutely amazing. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I loved your work when I met you about a month ago. But before we get into your photography, which people can see on the set and your note cards, you have an amazing story. And it's an incredible story, and I just want to talk a little bit about that. I understand when you were 6 years old, something extremely traumatic happened. Would you please tell me?
Sure, you're exactly right. When I was 6 years old, it was the first day of first grade. I had a stroke that evening. My right carotid artery dissected from its lining and caused a blood clot. I was rushed into Boston to the hospital by the local doctor. Spent many days there, spent many months in therapy.
What was the result of the stroke? Because you look great now.
Thank
What
you.
was the result?
So I have left side hemiplesis, which means I'm very weak on my left side. I don't have a lot of fine motor control in my arm. I walk with a little bit of a slight limp. So while it's a disability, it isn't one that people notice very often.
What amazed me about your story was that you had to relearn at 6 years old how to walk, talk, and do all basics that normal 6-year-olds know.
Correct. The doctors were very convinced that I would never walk again. In fact, they told my mother to put me in an institution for crippled children. And it was my mother at that time who said to me, "Get up and walk." And that is all she said to me at 6 years old when I was struggling and being lazy about learning on the parallel bars. So I learned to crawl again, and I learned to walk again and ride a bike, and I was never treated as special. I have 3 siblings, and they will tell you that I was not treated as special. So I had to pull my weight exactly like everybody else. And what I did not know at that time was that eventually it would be my uniqueness and my differences that really stood out and made me different, and really were strengths for me.
That's really phenomenal that when you talk about it like that. And how did you get into photography?
So it was a very casual thing where I started with a point-and-shoot camera, and it was just something that appealed to me, and I started to get creative with it. It was after that I started to take some workshops up in the local area. New England Photo Workshops is a terrific workshop group, and I really started with them and then sort of started to find my own way in terms of doing creative photography, something a little different, and doing some flowers.
And the reason you do flowers is explain that reason.
I think they appeal to me simply because they all have their own story. They all are very unique. I like flowers that have maybe a little bit of imperfection, because I think that imperfection is something that runs through all of us. It's something we all have in common. And once we realize that that's the thing that makes us unique, it's really a strength. So the flowers really speak to me, and they tell their own story if you look at them. And that's really what I try to convey to photographers when I speak with them.
You know, as a former teacher, elementary school teacher, I really like what I just heard you say, because everyone tries, to be all like each other, and it's your differences that set you apart. Plus the knowledge that just because of a physical disability, you can achieve. And you speak in front of large groups. You speak and you have a very successful photography business. Let's get into talking about some of your specific pictures. The director is going to put one of them up on the monitor so we know which one you're looking at. But let's start with this particular image. How was this taken?
Well, I'm glad you started with this because it's a nice story. This was from a group of roses that I had purchased probably 2 years ago. I shot these roses outside against the snow because it was a white background, and they expose very nicely in the diffused winter light. Photographers like soft light, and where this is a soft flower, it was perfect for what I wanted to do. After I processed it, I added a texture to the background.
I was thinking, that does not look like snow.
So the white background affords me to be able to put a layer over my picture in a little bit of photographer software called Photoshop, which most people are familiar with. It's a layer, and then what I did was blend the 2 layers together to create kind of a nice vintage feeling in the background.
It's just gorgeous.
Thank
As you know, I'm also a photographer because that's how we met, but my pictures don't look like this. And so I have something to, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Let's go on to the next image and see now this is just Beautiful.
So this is a very small pansy. This was actually done by for my girlfriend's birthday. This was just a pansy that I shot again against a white trifold in my kitchen. I very affectionately call what I do in my kitchen studio. So this was one that I just again shot against a white background. This has a very rough texture over it. I didn't use the entire texture. The opacity is knocked down a little bit, but just a sort of a celebration flower for her birthday, something I wanted her to have.
Now your kitchen, you mentioned your kitchen. Is that part of your studio?
I very affectionately call it my kitchen studio. It's a personal creative space, so it allows me the opportunity to rest. I don't do well on long photography trips anymore because it's just too difficult for my body. So I do a lot of work in my kitchen studio, and ultimately when you do photography alone, you become very vulnerable. And everything that you feel about that image and everything that you see, that's your uniqueness, comes out. So photography really does become a personal kind of aloneness.
And something that you welcome, or something that you would like to discharge?
Well, I think it's always important to be vulnerable when you're being creative, because you're opening yourself to new things and to things that you actually feel. So I definitely welcome it. The more you can open, the more you can let go of your boundaries, the more you can create.
I'd like to go on to the next image that we have, and I love this image. I love the background. I want this. I love this image. So tell me about this.
So this is more of a standard macro shot. This is an anemone flower.
It's a what?
Anemone.
I never heard of that.
It's an anemone. Yeah. So almost like a sea anemone, but it's an anemone that's a flower.
I have never heard that.
Right. They're very beautiful. They come in different colors. This happens to be the purple bluish version.
Do you grow them, or where do you get your flowers?
No, this is one that I bought at Noonan's Florist in Georgetown, Mass. They're wonderful. They have a wonderful selection. There are a couple of flower stores in my area that sort of feed my obsession.
Oh, how cool.
So this is more of a standard macro shot. It does not have a texture in it, so it's not a signature piece, but I love the inside of this flower. It reminded me very much of a royal crown. So that's what I wanted to show, was the story of this middle of this flower.
It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Going on to the next image that you have, I'd like to. Now, this is the one we started with, or I'm kind of forgetting. Did we? No, we didn't start with this image. Thank you. Tell me about this rose.
So this is actually a ranunculus flower. A ranunculus, which is in the that sort of family of flowers.
Wow.
So I love the flow of this. I use this as an example of flow in my presentation because the petals are just incredible, the way that they move. This is processed in Knit Color Effects software. And really it's just the flow of those petals that really stands out for me. So it's incredibly soft, incredibly feminine piece.
It is, all of what you just said. And before we finish this segment, I just wanted to comment that on your website, a lot of these images are available in cards. You have some beautiful, beautiful cards.
Thank you.
Here on the set, that if people wanted to love these particular images, could contact you through your website.
Sure.
and get and purchase them, because this is not what you find at your local grocery store.
Sure. They are a little bit different, right?
And you send this, and actually you're sending what I would call frameable art, because very graciously you gave me some of these, and I know I'm going to put them in frames and put them up. So, and people, when they receive this as a gift card, they might consider doing the same thing.
Right, they're wonderful as gifts. Most of the images that you see on the website are available on the cards. They do need to be ordered with about a 2 to 3 week turnaround time. So it is not a quick thing, because I send them out to a lab that I prefer myself. But most of the images on the website are available on the greeting cards. They make lovely gifts. They're good for all different kinds of occasions. I tried to use flowers of a different emotion, because my images are very much about emotion. So there would be sad images that you would use for a sad event, or celebration images for a celebration event. But they certainly are available.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
If you email me, sure.
Well, thank you so much. And I know the director will put your website up once again on the monitor. And if people want to contact me, I'm available at jandoyle.tv, or you can email me at jmdteach@comcast.net. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jan.